You're not a sucker to have integrity and to treat others with respect. I was sitting here and I was just noticing the Honorable Elijah E. Cummings. And, you know, this is a title that we confer on all kinds of people who get elected to public office. We're supposed to introduce them as honorable. But Elijah Cummings was honorable before he was elected to office. There's a difference. There's a difference if you were honorable and treated others honorably outside the limelight, on the side of a road, in a quiet moment, counseling somebody you work with, letting your daughters know you love them. You know, as president, I knew I could always count on Elijah being honorable and doing the right thing. And people have talked about his voice. There is something about his voice that just made you feel better. You know, there's some people, they have that deep baritone, a prophetic voice. And when it was good times and we achieved victories together, that voice and that laugh was a gift. But you needed it more during the tough times, when the path ahead looked crooked, when obstacles abounded, when I entertained doubts, or I saw those who were in the fight start to waver. That's when Elijah's voice mattered most.
As we continue here, there are good things happening regardless of what situation you're in or what is happening around you. God is still in control. There are good things and bad things in all situations. We all elected President Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, after the 44th President, Barack Obama. Some voted and some did not, but you still participated. I like what is happening insofar as the prison sentences and injustices and crimes and things like that. If you're guilty, you're guilty, and you should go to jail or you should do the time, whatever the charges are that you are justifiably convicted of by the system that we have here. I don't like everything that President Donald Trump is doing. A lot of us don't like that. But guess what? God raises up leaders and God sets them down. But through all of those things and through all of those situations, no matter what, whatever is taking place, if you're a child of God, it's being done for your good. As we continue here, a music for you to understand that God still controls everything.
When I first heard this song, I said, oh, that's a nice song. But I dare you right in the midst of your storm. Look, when I'm going through some things, I know nothing but Jesus can bring me out. And it's weighing on me real heavy. I just remind myself that all things are working for my good, because he's intentional. Come on, help me say, all things for. Tell somebody he's never failing. Listen. All things are working for my good. He's intentional. Never failing. Have you noticed some of the things that God is miraculously allowing you to do? Some of your friends are saying, child, I don't know how you can do that. I just don't think I can make it through that. Well, listen, the reason we can make it through, because all things, we already know, we got it down in our DNA. All things are working for my good. He's intentional. He's never failing. Tell somebody one time. All things are working for my good. He's intentional. Never failing. Listen, I remind myself, they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like an eagle. He's intentional. He's intentional.
All things that are working for your good. That is, if you are a child of God. You believe in Jesus Christ, God Almighty, Creator. There is nothing that will happen that God is not in the midst of. For God is working for your good. Now let's begin to talk about a little bit about Alabama. Alabama is my home. Alabama is where I was born. Alabama is where I reside right now. I live in Beatrice, Alabama. Alabama, my home. Are you a voter in Alabama? Alabama is under the control of the GOP, the Republican Party. President Donald Trump leads the Republican Party. He's presently the President of the United States. What is the record in Alabama? Granted, now, the GOP has not always controlled Alabama. Alabama history is rooted and controlled by the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is the original home of the Ku Klux Klan and all of the racism that you find in the great state of Alabama. It was born and bred in the Democratic Party. But there began a switch some years ago. This is the GOP's A+ ranking and scorecard that includes the history of being rooted as a Democrat, but now the GOP controls the state of Alabama. And the question is, why are you 49th in overall ranking, 46 out of 50 states in 2018, 46 in healthcare, 50 in education, 45 in the economy? Why? 38 in infrastructure, 45 in opportunity. Why? Physical, number 23 in physical stability. Why? 45th in crime and corrections. Why? 35th in natural environment. Governor Ivey speaks out on impeachment, and President Trump has my steadfast and full support. Why did GOP vote in 2020? That's the reason why. The 2020 vote. Governor Ivey on Friday released a statement strongly backing President Donald Trump. And the reason for that is the GOP Republican revolt in 2020. They want to continue to maintain the deafening grip of the GOP on Alabama. Not to say that there isn't a deafening grip from the Democrats as well. The problem is you, the voters, and your choice of how you walk lockstep behind the GOP and what President Donald Trump is doing. There is no doubt James Aberhart is running for the seat. It was held by Bradley Burns. It is very doubtful that the rest of white GOP voters will be supporting Aberhart. They're going to go for anybody other than Aberhart. That's the way they do it in Alabama. That's just the way it is. Okay, let's talk about Doug Jones. What about Doug Jones? It is understanding through many circles that since this is going to be done the 2020 election, that's going to be a landslide defeat of Doug Jones. But Alabama, you have a voice in that. You have a voice in that, and it's called your vote. It is time for you to make a choice. Well, now you can go with the Republican Party, continue on the road that we're going, or you can change. That's up to you. That's up to you, the voters. It is possible to change. It is possible. It is absolutely possible to change. You don't have to walk lockstep in what is going on. Alabama, an overview of Alabama. We got 52,420 square miles. We're college educated by 34%. Our GOP is 211.1.97 billion. Our population is 4,874,747. Our capital is in Montgomery. Our median income is $26,498. Alabama rode at the center of the civil rights movement, coupled with its ongoing traditional college football culture, leads it a more colorful and sometimes painful history than most. And so far as the Alabama football team, I like Alabama's football team. Always have. Nothing wrong with being black, white, pink. I don't care what color you are, playing good football. Let's look at the Confederacy was born in Montgomery, Alabama. Its first capital during the Civil War. About 120,000 white Alabama men served in the Confederate forces. After the war, segregation prevailed in the South, and in Alabama in particular in 1901. State legislation limited voting rights for thousands of blacks and poor whites through poll taxes, literacy tests, and other restrictive requirements. Oh, man. In the mid-20th century, the state was at the forefront of the civil rights movement and peaceful activism against racial segregation. It was in Montgomery that Rosa Parks refused to give up a seat on a public bus in 1955, leading to the city's 381-day bus boycott. If you didn't know, Alabama has a very, very colorful history. In 1965, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. led thousands of activists in a roughly 50-mile march from Selma to Montgomery after weeks of being blocked by local police, sometimes violently. The historic march helped raise awareness to the plight of African Americans, and Congress passed the Voting Rights Act that later lasted that year. Voting Act later that year. What is it about Alabama? In 1972, state redistricting and federal voting and election allowed hundreds of thousands of Alabama, both white and black, to vote for the first time in 1972. 1972. Not long ago. Today, the state has about 5 million residents, with the most populous cities being Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, Huntsville, and Tuscaloosa, home of the University of Alabama. The U.S. Space Rocket Center, home to Space Camp and Visitor Center for NASA Marshall Center, is located in Huntsville, Alabama. But yet and still, we rank 45th in healthcare. We rank 50th in education. Economy, we rank 45. Infrastructure, we rank 38. Opportunity, we rank 45. Physical stability, we rank 23. Crime and correction, we rank 45th. Natural environments, we rank 35. Why? With an overall ranking of 49. Granted, there is some good things in Alabama, and there are some bad things in Alabama. In fact,